Citi is launching a new premium credit card. Soon you'll be able to skip customs when connecting in the US. AI is our enemy in the travel space. All of that coming up right now on MTM Travel.
And no talk of Coldplay, I promise.
So you didn't like the Coldplay meme that broke the internet this week? I haven't seen very many things that went that wide and viral, and wow.
I was just saying before recording that too bad we weren't doing the Golden Nugget ad for MTM Vegas. Could definitely weave that in. If Bro was playing Golden Nugget on his phone instead of with his side piece, he would have saved his marriage. Or at least for a little bit.
And I'm sure everybody is sick of this, but there were some great memes on the weekend, and then a lot of stadiums started doing the Coldplay kiss cam, where they would show the camera and then everybody would duck away. It's I mean, it's got to be mortifying if you're them. They were doing bad things, but it's interesting to see the world come together to mock them. I don't really know. I see both sides of this. It would suck to really have that happen, but they were doing bad stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what their marriages are like or what their spouses are, all that stuff. We don't know if they have open marriage, don't have it, all these things. But by the reaction, it doesn't seem like they do. So that's what I would. I promised that we weren't going to talk about this, then we're talking about it.
But no,
I thought the funniest thing was Coldplay hasn't released a single in 10 years or 15 years. And, this weekend they dropped two.
There you go. I mean, there's a lot of jokes about it. There's an episode of Modern Family from 10 years ago where Phil is sitting with Gloria, his father-in-law's wife, and they're on the kiss cam, and he's like, no, 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 no. And then she kisses him, and then it went on TV, and he says, things that happen in our own stadium should stay in our stadium. So there you go.
Yeah, nobody, Sofia Vergara doesn't age either. I swear it pops up in my feed, her from 19 to 50, whatever she is now, and it looks the same.
Yeah, she's great. That show's great, and it's interesting when art predicts real life. But yeah, we're no privacy anymore.
Everything.
We talk about casinos all the time and how filming in casinos has changed, and this is just the way in the world, right? With streamers and the way people are going about the world, is that there really isn't any privacy. People are showing up all of the time. I guess this sort of happened before. There's some famous court cases, one with Curb Your Enthusiasm, where they were filming at a Dodgers game, and their film actually ended up being an alibi. But I mean, that was a long time ago in a different world. Now everything's on video, so behave yourself. So before we get into the stories from this week, I transferred some thank you points over to Accor, and thankfully I waited, and thanks to you, because you messaged me and told me right before we recorded the show that they're showing us 1-to-1. So for people who don't know, it was 2 thank you points to 1 Accor point. And then it was a 50% bonus, which would have given you, 750 Accor points for 1,000 Citi points. But now it's 1-to-1 for some reason. We don't know how long this will last, or if it's a promotion, or if it's a mistake. But it's an instant transfer, and I did move over about 140,000 thank you points. I'm really debating whether I should do more. And then I'm reminding myself I haven't really used this program to move all these points over.
Use them and then start looking for all your travel. I love the program, as we discussed a couple weeks ago, and this has got to be an error. One, it doesn't say anything on the landing page, and then I'm guessing they just whoever turned off the transfer bonus just set it to 1-to-1 because most everything else is 1-to-1. So I think they just messed up, and it's gotten a little bit of coverage over the weekend, and I'm guessing it will be dead, tomorrow, Wednesday, something. So if you're listening to this on the day that it drops, you might have a little bit of time left. But yeah, take a quick peek at your future travels, see what you have lined up, and then go from there.
So I'm going to ask you a question since you used the program a little bit. I was playing around with it a little bit before the show, and I found a hotel in China, and it was like $80 a night. So not a huge cost, but it was only letting me redeem 2,000 points towards it. So I could only get 40. So what is not all rooms? Can you redeem all the points, or how does that work?
It's because it goes in 40 euro chunks. So it just goes to the nearest 40 euros. So you must have been just below that next thing where you could use the 40 euros towards it. So sometimes it works out that way where you owe almost $40 or right around $40. And sometimes it's $5, $20, all that stuff. It depends. They won't let you use the smaller than the breakup of the 2,000 points. So that's why. So super cheap hotels, it might not be the best deal. Better if it's, a couple $100 a night.
And it really has opened my eyes because we are planning this China trip in September, and I've stayed at actually Accor hotels near Shanghai Disneyland. Yeah, they're all over China. Just so many properties and really cheap a lot of the times, and very good quality, like the Mercure brand I've stayed at in China. So kind of opening my eyes up to that, especially in places where we don't need maybe the VIP service that you would get with like a Hyatt Globalist, where you need all of that sort of stuff. So I probably will use them in China, and I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, I'm still debating as we sit here whether I should move more.
I mean, if I don't have a Strata Premier right now, I have been wanting to like product change into it, just gotten lazy. I don't have a ton of thank you points anyway. I think I only have like 25,000 banks, so it's not a big deal. But if I had like 500,000 points with, my diving into this program when I transferred all my built points over, I would move a significant amount of them. The one holdout is if AA transfers do come when Citi takes over that entire portfolio, maybe you'd have a little bit of buyer's remorse, so I wouldn't move full. But if I knew for sure AA wasn't coming, I would move my whole thank you pile stash over.
And this is like 100% transfer bonus. That's sort of the way I was looking at it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're getting double what you normally would, and like it's not going to last. Yeah, this is my one chance. I did it. So let's pivot to Citi and talk about the rumors of their new, what is it, Strata Premier, we believe the name of the card is going to be. All kinds
Strata
of rumors.
sucks.
All kinds of rumors from all kinds of sites. It was supposed to launch, what was it, this week or this weekend or something? I don't know, but it seems like next week is going to be the week, according to Miles Talk. Frequent Miler has rumors. Doctor of Credit has rumors. Some of them match up, some of them don't. I've seen $595 annual fee or $650. $595 seems to be coming from more sources. And there's some interesting quirks here with, hotel credit. But the one thing that stands out on these rumors, 6x on dining in specific periods on Friday into Saturday. I don't like these things where you get specific times. Different credit cards have used this over different years. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but a lot of sort of premium stuff. We don't know all of the coupons that they're going to have, and we know they have to have coupons in order to make a premium card work in 2025. But Miles Talk probably has the most complete set of rumors. He went into a Citi banker, although last week he went to a different Citi banker, got a little bit of different information. So maybe the bankers are just having fun with all these credit card bloggers going into their branches.
I mean, if you've ever talked to a banker, they don't know anything really, for the most part, on their own products or when new stuff's coming. So they probably got like a memo and barely read it, don't understand it. They don't know the programs. I mean, I can count the number of times that I've sat down with a Chase banker, like doing a bank bonus or something, and asking what they thought about certain credit cards, and they have no clue what they're talking about. They don't know about transfer partners, any of that stuff. So take it all with a grain of salt, and that's what rumors are. Is usually it's just 75% good, 25% bad. 6x dining, Friday and Saturday nights is annoying because one, I don't trust Citi IT. They suck, and they're gonna mess this up. And the only other people I can think right off the top of my head that did something similar to this, like long term, was Cardless when they launched those cards. I think it was like the Manchester United card on game days. You got 8x on dining or rideshare or some crap like that. So it's similar to that. It just feels cheap, especially, I feel really bad for the prestige card holders that have been holding on to that card for a decade or whatever it is now. And they're getting 5x on dining all the time. And now they're going to 6x on the couple hours on the weekends, 3x every other time. It's just not a good card. And it's a step down from a card that they launched 10 years ago and then completely torpedoed and nerfed, and it's still better than what they're rolling out now.
Yeah, I mean, the Prestige really has had most of its benefits cut back. I think you still have the fifth night free on hotels. You still have the travel credit, $250, that is pretty good. It's unrestricted. I mean, it's a very easy credit to use, but it doesn't have a lot of the extra features that we've seen from Chase and Amex. And so this is probably there. I mean, this is the year of the premium credit card relaunch, right? 2025. They're all doing it. And I just don't see, based on these rumors, how Citi plans to stand out here. Now, there is one rumor that AA transfers are coming to this card, and I think Frequent Miler is the one who wrote about that. Again, a rumor, but I would, if they're relaunching all of this and AA transfers are rumored to possibly be coming, I would expect that it would come to this card before it comes anywhere else.
I don't know because I mean their whole thank you points is in like fourth, fifth place right now. So if they want to be a big player, I think they need to bring it to the whole thank you points portfolio. So I don't know that maybe they'll get like a better rate with this card if they lock it to just this card. I don't know. Maybe that pushes it over the top for some. The earnings still isn't as good. I'd still rather have the Citi Strata Premier and go with that. And the 3 times on dining, gas, grocery, all that stuff. It's a really great everyday card where this isn't. And then the perks are weird. Like, what is the black limo or black car service $100 credit every 6 months that nobody's heard of or thought it went out of business 10 years ago? Where'd they find this?
I don't know. So let me go through Dave Miles talk. What he says is his rumor. This is from today. He says he went to a banker this morning and got this latest information. $300 annual hotel benefit that must be redeemed on Citi Travel. That makes sense. $200.
And it's got to be 2 nights. Crap.
Yeah, 2 night
Okay,
minimum.
moving on.
$200 annual black. And Chase has a 2 night minimum as well, right? With their credit.
Yeah.
So that's where they're getting that from. You get the Black Lane credit, $100 per 6 months. This is what you were talking about. Priority Pass Select. We don't know if there'll be guests or not. Up to a $200 annual splurge credit, which can be used on First Dibs, American Airlines, Best Buy, Future Personal Training, and Live Nation. I guess Best Buy, American Airlines, pretty good with that. Global entry credit. 4 American Airlines Admirals Club passes every year as well. It sucks that they couldn't figure out a way to get Admirals Club access with this, like with Delta and Amex.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to take away from the Citi AA Premier. What is it? Executive card. Because that comes with the access, and this would be cheaper and give you access. So I could see why they didn't, if it's at this price point, or it'd be a better overall card. That card, the executive card, yeah, it has 100,000 mile bonus, which is great for the first year. But after that, unless you're spending like 2-3 days a week in lounges, I just don't see any value in it. The earning sucks. All the other perks suck. So you don't want to have this kind of steal that thunder. So I see why there's only 4 passes. They're not worth much to me. Admirals lounges are kind of garbage. So yeah, I don't see anything. The splurge credit is okay, but why not just make it a travel credit like you had the Prestige? It's just they want more breakage. Best Buy should be somewhat easy. Live Nation, decently easy, and then American Airlines. Okay, so it's not like the most terrible thing, but it's definitely more locked than what we see with the Prestige. So the fact that they're not grandfathering in any of the Prestige, the rumor is that they're all going to be moved over, has to be like salt in the wound. I don't know. This is just a whole bunch of, unless they do get AA transfers and they tie it only to this card, I don't see why anybody would pay for it outside of the bonus.
And a few other things. It earns 1.5x on all purchases, everyday purchases.
Woo.
So the double cash is a better card.
2008,
right?
baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Double cash, a better card for that. But they're not the only bank to have the premium card not be the best. I mean, look at Amex. That's a great example where you have other cards that earn better. And then the sign-up offer is rumored to be 100,000 thank you points after 4,000 spent in the first 3 months. So we will see a week from now. Next week, we'll talk about it. Hopefully, it'll be here. And I agree. I don't see anything standing out too much here, but we don't know all the details. Maybe Citi still has something up their sleeves. But at this point, a lot of these leaks, by the way, are coming from training material that so the bankers, like Mark said, often don't know anything. But right before a launch, they have to train and they have to do all of this. They get all this material for it. And it seems like that's where a lot of this info is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they sometimes like leak this stuff and then see how people react and then maybe do a couple adjustments before it comes. Because it seems like whatever rumors we see, it's always a little bit different, a little bit tweaked. We saw that with the Sapphire Reserve refresh and the Sapphire for Business. And some of it was commingled because, it's 2 different cards. But I remember I went in to get my son the teen checking account bonus, which was $100 then. Now it's $125. And this was like 2 days after the Sapphire for Business first launched. Big deal in our circles. And I asked the banker, I was like, has anybody come in and asked about that card? He said, yeah, I had one person. So it shows you how much the bankers deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, we've done these bank bonuses for a long time where you have to go in to chase branches. And I always talk to them about credit cards. And most of the time, I'm vastly more informed on their credit card offerings than they are, especially on the business cards. I find they get a lot of personal people coming in to open checking accounts and stuff. They try to sell them a Freedom card or Freedom Flex card, whatever it ends up being, but it's Sapphire card, but they don't pay attention to the business cards, the ink cards. And yeah, I mean, they're not going into a bank. Worst idea. I hate it. I hate going into a bank to have to open anything, and I try to avoid it as much as possible. But it is fun if you have to go in there to kind of see what they know.
Yeah, I mean, we can even say executives. We've met with executives from credit card companies and had a talk with them, and they had no clue, outside of the main whatever you see on the commercials. Like they didn't know the deep dive or any of that stuff. They didn't understand the valuable partners that they had or didn't have, and how it compares. Like they're completely clueless for the most part too. It's amazing that people inside the machinery don't really understand how the secret sauce is made.
Yeah, that was a very interesting conversation. This one conversation we had with executives, and they were just talking about this one specific card that they had, and they knew nothing about anything else. And yeah, it's very interesting times, and it makes you realize that not everybody is in the weeds here, and that's where some opportunity happens. That's where we can find some deals that are outsized, or some deals that may not work for a lot of people, but people in the hobby could maximize it. Like off the top of my head, with the experience credit or whatever that credit is, Best Buy, you could buy gift cards, which would be nice, that you could sell for almost full value if you wanted to get back some of that money. So there's different opportunities here. I'm really getting tired. So in this year, we've seen on the casino side, we've seen MGM and Caesars both launch premium credit cards, and now we've seen the relaunch of Sapphire Reserve. We know Platinum, Amex Platinum, is relaunching later this year with a higher fee and more benefits. We see this, and clearly the goal of the banks is to get you on the hook with a high annual fee. They see this as not only driving revenue to them, I think it drives loyalty as well. When you have this sort of ecosystem where you're cashing in these credits and you're jumping through hoops, you're more likely to keep the card, use the card, than if it's just some passive card sitting in your wallet. So it kind of works on both ends. They're squeezing us. And American Express doesn't think that these higher fees are costing them anything, which we'll talk about in a second. But this is where we're at. Consumers seem to be responding to the coupon book stuff.
Yeah, and most people probably only pick one, and they have one, and we're a bit different where we'll have multiples, and especially the first year and everything. But I feel like the Venture X, everybody, was bought and paid for when it first launched, and said it was the greatest thing since sliced bread on some of the larger sites and everything, and had the wallpaper and all that crap. But it wasn't like all that enticing overall. It was an okay card. It was a step up from the regular Venture card. And, you had the credits and the miles that could offset, most or all the annual fee, depending on how you want to look at it. And they've devalued that a bit since, where they've taken away some access points. The lounge access hasn't been as good, all that stuff. But by not raising the fee and keeping it somewhat simplistic with their coupons, it makes it like better than it was at launch compared to the competition, because competition just keeps getting more expensive and worse.
And you make a good point on the lounges. This is where Citi is behind now at this point, where it used to be just American Express had the lounges, and now Chase is expanding rapidly, and Capital One is expanding rapidly, and even American Express is expanding rapidly. So we'll see how Citi can balance all of that out. But American Express, we'll talk about this on the Vegas show, but Sidecar, they announced their new concept. This is like Capital One's Landing. It seems like a copy of that, where you have a restaurant concept. You can go 90 minutes before your flight, so not 3 hours like the normal lounge, and then get a quick meal. They have all these cool chefs that they brought on board to say the food is going to be high end. They call it like a speakeasy concept, or they mention that word once or twice, and it's like, how is this a speakeasy? It's not a speakeasy in any sort of way, but they are bringing that to
tiny.
Yeah, it is tiny, but they're bringing it to Las Vegas. Las Vegas was the first American Express Centurion Lounge in the United States, and they already have a lounge there. They're going to make this as a second lounge option at the airport, which I think is very interesting. And so at a time where they think these lounges are the most important thing ever, they're really driving loyalty by getting people to say, okay, I fly twice a year. I want to go have a free drink. And we've talked about how lounges have jumped the shark, but it does seem to be driving people into these cards. And how does Citi overcome that as well? And what do you think about the Sidecar? Are you excited about this new concept?
I mean, Citi said 4 Admirals Club lounges. Here you go, done. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I like the dining concept. The problem is overcrowding. We already see it in the Centurion Lounge, especially at Las Vegas. There's usually a line to get in. It's not comfortable at all in there. I feel like rushed and claustrophobic whenever I'm in there now. If it's, a semi-busy time, I'd rather grab food and sit out, in an open terminal somewhere versus that. It just doesn't feel relaxing. When it first launched and there wasn't a ton of cardholders, it was a really cool experience. And now it feels worse than being in like a crowded restaurant in the terminal. So I don't know that this is going to alleviate any of that. I think it's going to be more of the same, maybe even worse, because it's such a small space and people are going to be looking for it. Maybe you'll get a little reprieve at the Centurion Lounge for, the beginning of time, the first couple months, because people will want to go wait in line over there. I don't know, but I think people would just rather have a massive lounge that has space for everybody. And I think Sapphire did that in Philadelphia. At least it looks that way. And from the square footage, it looked like a massive lounge that they added. So just make them bigger.
Well, it's not like every airport has 30,000 square feet sitting around. And I think this is
You
the
can make
problem.
it. I didn't ask you this. I didn't see where it's going. Is it going where the old the club used to be with the salt and pepper popcorn, like back behind the staircase going down at Las Vegas? That's
I
still
didn't
empty lounge space.
I didn't see them announce a location for it, but that actually, I mean, that's a little small, but maybe it would work there. And yeah, I don't know where exactly in the airport they're putting it. I think there's a good difference between 3 hours, an hour and a half. I'm somebody who doesn't use the lounge at the airport when I'm departing, but I would probably go a little early if the food was good. I did get to visit the Capital One restaurant in DCA for about 5 minutes, so I didn't get to order any food, but they have a QR code system. It's very fast, and they seemed very efficient with everything that they were doing. So I think this is good. So let's talk about the Amex earnings call. I did not listen to the whole thing myself, but I saw a couple breakdowns, including one from Gary from View from the Wing. And one of the kind of comments about the lounge spaces is that the airports are falling over themselves. This is really like a boom to them, but they're trying to find spaces in these airports around the country to build these lounges. And in many cases, they're building out new spaces. That's happening with Chase's Lounge in Las Vegas, for example, where they have to build out a new space that didn't exist. There's not a lot of space for all of this. It's happening. They're expanding. They're trying to do new concepts. It's clear that the airport experience is key to all of these premium cards these days.
It's guaranteed rent for them, and it's probably at a good rate and a higher rate versus a small shop that struggles and things like that. So I can see why the airports want them, and I'm sure as they build new terminals and stuff, they'll be more aware of that need and build it out better than they have, and they're kind of just cramming things where they can make it work, and building up above and having staircases up and adding new levels and all these landings and things like that. So I can see why they love it. It's just when you think about it, how full these lounges are, and they're not charging anything. I mean, sometimes people might bring a guest and they pay a little bit, but it's basically just all off the cardholder fees. And I can't imagine that they're a positive, cash flow experiment when you think about how many people are in that lounge. They all pay, yeah, they all paid for an annual fee, but you wouldn't think that would go super far with all these other credits and everything. It's kind of crazy.
It is, but I think the data has spoken. I mean, the first lounge, the Lost Centurion Lounge, opened in 2013. So clearly they have a lot of data and they've built a gazillion lounges since then. So it must be working. They're very aggressive in getting new signups. I think in the last quarter, they got 1.5 million new signups for cards, according to their earnings report. And they talked about how, and they admitted this out loud, and I thought that this was super interesting, how they used to make a lot of the benefits hard to redeem. And that was the whole idea, breakage. We talk about this all the time. Now they claim that they're trying to make it easier to redeem. This is the part I'm
Okay.
skeptical of, that, yeah, they changed their whole model to make everything so easy to redeem. I think the idea is they're throwing more benefits against the wall, throw that crap against the wall and see what sticks. So there's more things, but they realize that the average person isn't going to utilize most of them, and even people who want to maximize everything, they're so wide and varied in the benefits that nobody's going to use all of the stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing that bothers me the most about Amex is that you have to enroll in stuff. Like you sign up for a new card and they're like, "Oh, you have to enroll in the Dell credit. You have to enroll in the airline fee." I get that one because you have to pick it. But like some of these, like you have to enroll in the $50 credit for Hilton. It's like, come on, that's just a way to be cheap. That you're like, oh, you didn't enroll first, so you don't get it. Oh, you got to do it again, or they hope you forget, or that you're just like, I don't want to mess with that. It's not worth my time. It should come auto enrolled unless you have to pick something specific like the airline for your airline incidental. I don't know why you would make us push buttons and then wait 24 hours for it to activate. It's just so stupid and annoying.
Yeah, and clearly designed for it not to work because you get your new card. Hey, I got my new business platinum. I want to go shop at Dell. You're not always thinking that I have to go to my account, log in, go to account benefits, find the benefit, then go activate it in order for it to work. And yeah, I agree with you. That's not really customer friendly. They say that they're trying to make their benefits better for customers, less breakage, or they didn't say less breakage, but make it easier for them to redeem. So we'll see that. They also gave some guidance. American Express has some of the best travel data out there of any provider because of Amex Travel, the amount of travel they book and their clientele. And they said that coach bookings are starting to look down for the rest of the year, but premium bookings are not slowing down, including premium hotel and airfare. So it seems like the well-to-dos are still booking travel like crazy, but a lot of other people may be pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we see in malls too. If you like think about it, the malls that are booming are all the malls that have premium stores and high-end things, and the local mall that has more mom and pop places that we, grew up to and love in the 90s, or like the JC Penney's of the world, are dying. So it's just, I don't get where the money's coming from, but it seems like everybody wants to spend money on premium things, premium experiences, all that stuff. I can't say that I am not in that boat for some things, like we've talked about. I'll never pay, or I'll always pay to cut the lines at parks and things like that from now on if I can afford it. Like it's worth it to me. On other things like clothing and whatever, yeah, no, but I'm not going to go buy a $400 pair of sunglasses to be like my everyday wearers. But there's a lot of people out there that are.
Yeah, and these credit cards are becoming more and more a status symbol for some people in whatever circles you run in. I think platinum is still the biggest status symbol. I mean, I haven't ever had anybody recognize my Sapphire Reserve card and be like, "Ooh, that's fancy." But maybe with this new version that they're coming out with, all the new card design, it'll draw attention. But I don't. This is the disconnect here, is because everybody's getting these cards, but I don't see anybody getting true benefit in their life from most of these cards. They're not getting the status or the things that they would want. So are we getting tricked here? Are we getting tricked into thinking, is it just our culture? The more crap you throw on there, the better it seems, and therefore we need it to be part of the club.
I think so. I think that's where it's at, and the more partners they can get, the more the partners are probably paying for things, so they can offer value, charge more, and it doesn't cost them a ton more. I mean, as a business, that's exactly what you want. Like, we can charge you more for something that doesn't cost us a lot, because we're having other people cover a lot of that. So that's what they're shooting for. I think the one that really overshot was the Prestige when it launched, with all the stuff that you were getting, and that felt like a premium card that offered premium experiences that you couldn't do otherwise. Like that golf benefit got you into golf courses that you normally need to be a member of, and things like that. Like, it really was a everyday type of, changes my life a little bit, makes it a little bit more premium in each way, where you don't get that. And these are all just discount cards that you're paying a large fee for, and it makes you feel special. The earning sucks, which the Prestige had pretty decent earning originally. The earning sucks on all these cards. They all have very similar overlapping things, like the TSA credit, the Priority Pass. Like, would Priority Pass even be a thing if it wasn't for these cards?
Yeah, I wonder how many people have standalone, maybe in other
None.
countries, right? Because there's so many international Priority Pass
Zero,
lounges.
Sean. Nobody pays $500 for those crap lounges. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. I'd love for everybody to chime in. What do you think about these premium credit cards, where we are now? I think that they were originally designed, I think the Prestige is a perfect example of this with the golf benefit for their affluent clients to have a robust credit card within their ecosystem. You have money on deposit with us. We want you to have this. And the Palladium card with Chase was the same thing, even though it was the Sapphire. They rebranded the Sapphire Reserve as its own card for their rich clients. And now it's not that, right? They realize the masses are coming. let's just load this up. It's really about just signing up as many people as possible, filling these lounges, filling these spaces. And like you said, pay for the lounges. You need to have a lot of cardholders to do that. And that is what the goal is here. So they call them premium credit cards because the fee is high, but they're not premium in the way that they used to be either.
Yeah, I mean, Amex Platinum back in the day, you got Delta Lounge access, you got American Airlines Lounge access, then you still had the Priority Pass stuff. Like that was, if you said that now, people would be like, "What? That's insane."
All right, so let's talk about this other story, and this is from View from the Wing as well. American Airlines is testing out this new system where if you're connecting on an international flight from London, this is in Dallas right now, so you fly London to Dallas, and you're on a connecting flight where you do immigration at the gate, and then you get to go right into the terminal. Your bags automatically connect. You don't have to recheck, go to baggage claim, get your bag, recheck it, go through security again. It's almost like a domestic flight where you just get off and go into the terminal. This seems very inefficient to me. I don't know how they're going to be able to pull this off for all the flights coming in. Maybe they don't have enough flights or they can do it. From a passenger perspective, they say this will cut the connection time in half. I believe that, and I think it's wonderful. So I hope they keep this up.
Yeah, the confusing part is going to be when people are getting off the plane. They're like, "Oh, if this was your last stop, just go to the normal immigration, section. But if you're connecting, come over here." Like that's gonna be a chaos until people get used to it because they're not expecting it. I still would prefer, like the Dublin setup, places like that, Bahamas, where you do the clearance while you're there and then get on the flight, and then it's like a domestic flight. I like that setup better, but I realize you can't do that. I wish they would do it at more international, like that should be at London or at Heathrow, that should be in Paris, there, Amsterdam, like some of these locations that have a ton of flights from the US to them and are kind of like the gateways over. I think that they could do it. And, we joked about this at Singapore when I flew through there, that you had to go to the gate and then they had their TSA set up at the gate. And I was like, this doesn't seem very efficient at all. Like you could enter and walk around the entire airport, and then when you got to the gate, you had to get checked in, because they want people shopping and taking advantage of everything there. So I get that, but this is similar to those things. Maybe they won't need as many people because less will be connecting. Quite a few will be getting off and staying in Dallas, things like that. But I like the idea of it. I like making that transition easier. There's nothing worse than having to go through immigration, then go get your bags, then go through screening again when you already did it. It just seemed like it was stupid, and you had to jump through all these hoops for no reason other than they wanted to be able to say they did it too.
Yeah, international pre-clearance is the best, and that's when International Airport has U.S. Customs in their airports. Every Canadian airport, I think, has it, and like you said, Dublin, some in the Caribbean. I think Abu Dhabi, I want to say, has it as well. So yeah, a lot of great stuff. That's the best thing. But this is, if you can't do it in London because of all this other stuff, this at least makes it nicer. And it shows you, I mean, AI probably on the back end is tracking this, but the tracking has gotten so much better. Anybody who has global entry knows you just go, it already knows what flight you've taken. It already knows that it expects you to be there. And now obviously the facial recognition works properly. It's really a great deal with global entry. But having to recheck a bag, that's a pain. Going back through TSA when you're tired, that's a pain. And, clearly they trust the people over in England to do the security properly, which if you've ever been through Heathrow, they are I mean, if you think TSA is bad, the English, the security is rough. So yeah, they're doing a good job over there keeping us safe.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Like, everybody's kind of on the same page here for security and checking and everything. And, some places are even worse than TSA or more thorough. I know they looked at my passport like 5 times going, walking. I walked 10 yards in Singapore when we did that gate check, and like every single person I walked by checked my ticket and my passport. I was like, didn't you just watch her right in front of you do it? And then the guy after you is going to do it too? What the hell is going on here?
My favorite was in India. I was taking this flight. It was a domestic connection. I flew into India, had an overnight layover, stayed in a hotel. So I left the airport, came back. And so even to get in the building, you needed a boarding pass. And this was 2014. So it wasn't like they had kiosks everywhere or anything. So I had to go to a ticket window, and they had a dot matrix printer where they printed out my ticket just to get me in the door. And then eventually they got me a boarding pass. And then I probably had 5 or 6 boarding pass checks before I got through security. But the best thing is, once you get to the gate and they're boarding, obviously you scan it at the gate, they check it. And then they had people inside the jetway every 5 to 10 feet rechecking the boarding pass and the passport. So there was 5 checks from the time I scanned it at the gate till I got on the airplane, including the last person standing in the door of the airplane. I guess they're worried about people sneaking into the jetway or something else, but it's quirky
They
how
just wanted to
things are.
justify having, low unemployment.
There you go. And speaking of low unemployment, let's bring my car rental fiasco to a head here. Well, I already talked about my car rental fiasco, but what if AI was being used? And Hertz is doing this now all over the country. They have a few locations. I know Atlanta, Charlotte, a few others, but the plan is to roll these out to all of their major locations. And basically, it's this scanner that uses AI, and it uses, it scans down to the micro whatever to see whatever damage you do, and then you get charged for it. And this really sucks because their whole business model has been to price in a certain amount of damage, right? If they know, little dings, stuff like that, if they start charging us for that stuff, it's bad. Another story of AI this week was Zach Griff from the Points Guy was at a Hyatt hotel that used one of those new smoke detector sensor things that went off. They charged him $500. He found a lot of other people having the same issue. He did not smoke. So this is going to be a thing in the travel space where these robots are telling on us and they're not always right.
Yeah, and they're gonna, treat it like gospel. Like that's what the hotel did. It was a hair dryer, is what he thinks set it off. They used the hair dryer, and that's what other comments said. Hey, in the last hour it says I smoked, but I was using the hair dryer. Do you want to come up and smell and see if there's any smoke smell? And they're like, no, it's never wrong, type of thing. And if you have too much faith in computers, I mean, anybody that's used technology knows that it's not infallible, or just try to use AI and ask it a question, especially in the miles and points world. It's wrong like half the time. So I don't think you can judge anything off this. To get it off as a starting point, like if it clears a car, okay, if it says damage, then you need a human to pull up the, as it was rolling out and see if that was already there. Other people, have said, I took a video, luckily, and I sent it to them. The problem is you're not talking to anybody anymore. There's nobody that works for Hertz there. I don't believe. I think it's like this third party company now. And then you're having to jump through all these hoops where you just want like a Hertz employee to be like, here's the video that shows that this scuff was above the wheel when I took it. And they're like, okay, I'll take that off. You can have that discussion. If you don't have that portion to it, I could see using technology to streamline things, but you can't just rely on it 100%, at least not in the beginning.
Yeah, and with Hertz, it's a little different. I mean, they are using AI apparently in the scanner, but it is taking images and scanning. And I guess you could go back and look, and there's some sort of a dispute to this. To the smoke detector thing, this isn't a smoke detector. Let's just be clear about this because the company that sells these sensors talks about their algorithm and how it's, analyzing the smells and to determine this. So it's not just like they have a sensor, it's, cigarette smoke sets it off, then they know you smoked and they charge you. They have this computer algorithm that seems to be wrong, right? I mean, there's a lot of examples now, not only Zach, but all the ones that he's uncovered from people reaching in, TripAdvisor reviews. This is happening all of the time. And we've had some people say in Vegas it happened to them as well, as these sensors are now being rolled out into Vegas hotels. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer to this is. Hopefully, this company just goes out of business or they fix their algorithms or whatever the problem is here because when these started coming out, I said, it's not the end of the world. But if you're getting false positives all the time, it's really, really bad for customers. And it makes you wonder, like in that Hyatt hotel, as I read that story, are they really using this to generate revenue? Because it's just happening so often. And, or do you just get desensitized when a customer says it wasn't me? You're like, sure, it wasn't you. Sure, you didn't do it, instead of actually believing them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think smoking has been a terrible problem in hotels in decades. So I don't. It's not like every hotel room I went into smelled like smoke, and I was like, oh, I wish they would bust people more on this. I'm pretty sure the cleaning person can go in there and smell the smoke if they smoked, and then you charge them at that point. I get that. I don't see why you need these sensors in every rooms. The last time I smelled smoke in a room was like 1996. Maybe some in Vegas randomly, or more of the grass or than anything, I think would be the issue. But yeah, this is all about driving more revenue. And I would just say, do not use a hairdryer in any hotel rooms from now on. Like, sorry, ladies and some guys, maybe all guys now with that broccoli cut if they're under 30, but don't use a hairdryer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you what you have to do. Yeah, I mean, I think it has to do with the grass, Mark. I think that's the entire industry. I think that's what this is really about because it's much harder to get that smell out, and certainly in Vegas, it's a huge problem. I've had several rooms in the last couple of years that smell of it. So, uh, yeah, I mean, maybe they'll get better, the tech will get better, but be wary of technology as you travel. And let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about. Amex saying, are they making the benefits easier? Citi and their new premium card. Accor, if you're able to get in on that, are you going to do the one-on-one transfers? If you see this as it comes out, go ahead and do that. We do not expect it to last. Everything else we discussed in this show, leave a comment. We do a new show every Monday. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.